Stelter is the RNC Communications Director and Chief Strategist, and he's been camped out here all week doing, counterpunching,
That's right. Yeah,
every day, coming back with your argument for the RNC. They made, some would say, a pretty compelling argument. There was a triumvirate of them. Joe Biden, Mike Bloomberg, and Tim Kaine both got up there and said, look, if you are a Republican or an independent and you're not a Trump person, come on over.
Well, look, I think that there's no question. They're making a case for a third term of Obama. What you didn't hear a lot last night, they did. They spent a ton of time talking about Donald Trump, but they didn't talk anything about national security. They barely mentioned ISIS. They didn't mention Iraq, Israel, the national debt, trade. I mean, so for a party that talks about attacks and the problems that they have, they spend a lot of time attacking, not a lot of time talking about solutions for this country. I mean, what Hillary Clinton is this ticket is the ultimate establishment status quo ticket in American history. They're talking about more government and the maintaining the status quo. And if you like what you've seen, if you like the way government's operating, I think you found a home last night.
Interesting. Let's put Sean's tweet up on the screen, and you just referenced it in terms of the mentions of things. 6 mentions of Donald Trump, 2 mentions ISIS, 0 Israel, 0 Iraq, 0 Libya, 0 on trade and TPP, and 0 on the national debt. You know, it is a lot. There's a lot of stuff that's been left out.
Right, and that's just not one speech, right? We've not seen these issues covered at all this week. So I find it ironic. I mean, the issues that are really facing this nation, the issues that, frankly, Bernie Sanders is talking a lot about, trade and foreign policy, not mentioned by any of the big speakers tonight. And I think tonight, what is going to be interesting about Hillary Clinton's speech is not what she says, but what she doesn't say. That's what I think is going to be fun. Is she going to continue this pattern of not addressing a lot of the foreign policy challenges, a lot of the domestic policy challenges, the security of this country, and the trade and national debt that we face as a nation?
You know, I mean, when you look at the numbers, Donald Trump's done very well, obviously, with blue-collar workers and non-college educated. This appeal last night was clearly to college-educated Republicans who are having a hard time with Donald Trump. And I think at his convention in Cleveland, his children went a long way to bringing those folks in. I know just purely anecdotally, people I spoke to last weekend said, I wasn't sure, but I thought the kids were so impressive.
No, the kids were a home run.
They really were bringing that. So there's a battle going on for the college-educated moderate voter between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
I really think that this election comes down to a very, very binary choice. If you think government is working well, if you think things are going well, then go with the status quo, go with the establishment. If you think it's time for a change, if you think we can do better, if you've had enough of Hillary Clinton and enough of the scandals, enough of the corruption.
Gotcha. But the argument last night was that this guy can't do it.
But I think the problem is that, but I think the American people have been tired of watching politicians just stand up over and over again and say, and again, that's what you've seen here, a bunch of politicians stand up, attack Donald Trump, but offer no solutions. And the fact is that I think the American people are onto the joke, which is if you want more of the same, vote for these guys. If you're happy, if you've had enough, you got a guy that's going to make America great again.
You know, you look at where the passion is, right, and the emotion. I think it's fascinating, having spent the last 2 weeks looking at people's faces on the floor. And these are the delegates. These are the people who are very committed to their causes. The Bernie Sanders people, very, very passionate. They're fired up. Bernie Sanders, very authentic guy. I think everybody on both sides says, he means what he says, and he says what he means. And then you look at the Donald Trump supporters also feel so strongly towards him. And then you do have this sort of establishment core that I think feels very threatened that they might be losing their gig in Washington.
That's right.
And they're the ones who are saying, oh my gosh, you can't possibly trust someone else to do this job. We're the ones who do this job.
Right, exactly. And that's what I think. You're absolutely right. It's both the Sanders and the Trump folks. They're tired of the excuses. They've had enough of it. And so they want to shake things up and get a government that's responsive. I think both of them speak to that. And that's why I think that's interesting that there is a segment of that Bernie Sanders vote. There's 3 categories. There's people who are of the Sanders team that are going to say, we're going to go with Hillary. We're not happy. There's some that are just going to sit home and say, forget it, my guy didn't win. But I think there's a decent amount. They're going to say, you know what, I can't vote for Hillary Clinton, but I like Donald Trump. I'm willing to take a chance on somebody, willing to shake up the system, and willing to not make any more excuses.
And TPP, which
you see the signs in the hall.
Oh, those signs are everywhere.
There's signs, and so that's what's so fascinating about their failure to mention it.
The potential.
They're not trying to bring these people into the tent. They're leaving them behind.
Fascinating. Sean, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you.